in the beginning, life was perfect. Everything that God created was good. So God created man in his own image to be exactly like him. God created everything, but God wanted to create himself. So he created man. Man was just like God, and because God is good, man was also good. Everything inside of God was inside of man. His intelligence, God's wisdom, God's power, everything, and everything in man was perfect. Now, when God created Adam, Adam could talk to God one-on-one, communicate with God. Now, I want you to watch to see what happens. Now, look at Adam's hand. Adam is trying to get used to the things in the earth. The first man that God created was Adam. I want you to look at his hands now. You can see that his hands are clear. He was just beginning to discover himself, to enjoy all the things that God created. I want you to look around and see where he was placed. Everything looks clean. Everything is beautiful. Everything is colorful. Life is perfect. And then God also gave food to man, the fruit. So Adam started learning all the things that God told him to do. Food was good. There was no food that caused sickness. Everything was perfect. But there was something God felt was missing. God felt, oh, let me give him a woman, somebody that will help him, somebody that will be like him, somebody he can spend time with so that they can take care of the earth together. Remember, everything God did was good. So Adam went into a deep sleep. He went into that deep sleep, and God now created a woman. And the woman was also good. So because everything God did was good. Now, I want you to look at their hands. Look at their hands now. Can you see how beautiful? As at this time, there was no sickness in the human race. Look at their hands, clean. I want you to look at their hands because you're going to see what will happen later. You can see their palms, beautiful and clean. There was no sickness, no pain. Humans were meant to live together, enjoying everything that God has created. God gave them a particular kind of food, but told them there was a particular fruit they must not eat. God said there was a particular fruit they must not eat. That was the instruction. So up until that time, everything was beautiful. Everything was perfect because everything that God created was good. But something bad happened. So because we need to know the origin, we need to know how the world became the way it is today. Because God created everything good. There was nothing that was bad. We need to realize how everything in the world became bad. Why there is sickness today, why there is pain, why there is suffering. We need to know so that we can also now know how God fixed it. So if ate the fruit that God told them not to eat, that was when sin entered the human race. Sin is disobedience. So look, I want you to see the earth now. Everything is now cursed. So sin brought a curse. Everything is now cursed. When you're cursed, there is nothing you do that is going to be good. Everything about you is going to be terrible. Everything about you is going to be bad. And then sickness also came. Immediately sin entered the reign. Once we sinned, once Adam and Eve sinned, it brought so many things. It brought sickness. It brought separation from God. You can see Adam is trying to hide. It brought sickness. It brought a curse. Animals started dying. The world became upside down. The world became the opposite of good. The opposite of good is bad. You can see that she's already sick. The world became the opposite of good. Everything that was good now became bad. Now, I want you to look at Adam's hand right now that sin has entered the human race. This was the hand before, but look at his hand now. Sickness has now, look at his face. Sickness has now entered out. Look at their hand before. But right now, look at sickness now became a part of us. Sin brought sickness. Sickness now became a part of us, and sickness is not good. When you walk around, you see so many sick people. It was the cause. It was the disobedience. It was sin. She's sick already. So the world became cursed. The beautiful world that God created became cursed. Sickness entered the human race. Quarrels entered the human race. Pain entered the human race, and then death entered the human race. And above all, separation. They were thrown away from the beautiful garden, separation from God. So Adam and Eve moved away from the presence of God, and then they had children. They continued to live and they have children. But you see the sad thing, the children they had also had everything that sin brought, because sin has entered Adam, sickness has entered Adam, curse has entered Adam. So when they had their children, everything also entered their children. That is why even us, that's why the things we fall sick, the world is sick, so many things are bad, nothing good is happening, people are fighting each other. That is how the world turned upside down. But we're going to see how God fixed this, because this is the Easter period. This is the Easter period. The Easter period was when God fixed it back to the original time. When God fixed it back to the original time. So we're going to see how this happened. But first, it's important to know how the world got here. It is important to know how we got what we got, and how God is trying to fix everybody and everything again.